better speak into the mic. Next, virtually, we have Sarah Verardo.
Chairman Tester, Senator Moran, thank
I-
you for inviting me today to testify in front of you. I hope you and your staff have had the opportunity to review my written testimony submitted on Monday. And I hope you see that our organization, along with many other organizations, has made every effort possible to warn the VA that this new regulation does not honor the commitment Congress set with veterans and caregivers through the Mission Act, is a dramatic step back in the support it provides disabled veterans and the caregivers who support them, and places every veteran and the caregivers in support that are supporting them in real danger of falling through the cracks of what has turned into a senseless, compassionless, bureaucratic nightmare. I am a caregiver myself to my catastrophically wounded husband, Sergeant Michael Verardo, U.S. Army retired. Michael was twice wounded in Afghanistan in 2010, imminent death status, his arm and leg blown off, and 120 surgeries later. As his recent annual reassessment for the caregiver program noted, Mike requires constant assistance to complete the basic activities of daily living and needs my constant support to navigate life in society. But just last week, we were notified that Mike will be demoted to the lowest tier in the new caregiver ratings. Why? Apparently because someone on the centralized evaluation and assessment team, the SEAT, saw videos from 2016 and 2017 where Mike was advocating for reform in VA healthcare programs. Well, I was with him at every one of those events to provide the assistance he needed even then. Those 5- and 6-year-old videos were apparently enough to determine Mike didn't need as much support anymore. The rest of his assessment explicitly said otherwise, and his VA records note that the declines have been devastating and he requires the equivalent of full-time nursing home care. But this one statement about an internet search, which by the way is nowhere in the regulation, was enough to reduce Mike's rating. When did Google become a clinical evaluation tool? How is this even allowable, ethical, or legal? And most importantly, senators, what are you going to do about it? What's even more incredible is that I'm relatively one of the lucky ones, if you can call it that. Over the last 5.5 months, we've been inundated with pleas of veterans and caregivers being told they will be disenrolled come October 1st, 2022. After years of being at the highest tier ratings in the prior caregiver program, now these catastrophically disabled veterans, many of whose cases I've detailed in my written testimony, are being told they are somehow miraculously cured, can complete their activities of daily living or ADLs, and no longer need any supervision. The assessment documents in these cases detail how these veterans fail their ADLs and need supervision for their own safety. But because the regulation requires these assessment teams to make the impossible prediction the veteran will require continuous, moderate to significant levels of personal care services for the next 6 months, the assessment teams realize they can't, that likely no one can. So they say the veteran must be disenrolled. And the Independence Fund and many of the other organizations who have joined in on this crusade have warned the VA, Congress, and even this committee that exactly this would happen. We made these warnings during the lead up to the new regulation, during the public comment period on that regulation, in our letter to the committee in 2020, in my comments before the Caregiver Advisory Committee in 2021, and in a letter that we and 21 other organizations sent to the Secretary last November. We've detailed in the written testimony how each element of the new regulation was unnecessary and counterproductive. But the real tragedy is that it was unnecessary. By the law you passed, VA could have simply certified the caregiver IT tracking system and used the old regulation. But as you said, Chairman Tester, it appears the VA took the opportunity of the congressionally mandated expansion of the caregiver program to pre-9/11 veterans to also make it tougher to get into the program. We are cautiously optimistic with VA's announcement yesterday regarding the suspension of disenrollments and demotions for legacy caregivers. But senators, this is the third time since 2017 the VA has been forced to pause these actions because of the systemic lack of consistency in these evaluations. This time, it's because the regulation is so poorly written. And we will fully engage in the stakeholder summits we hope that VA holds as soon as possible. We will support such changes like the one we recommended in our petition for rulemaking and letters, and we ask Congress to make the necessary legislative changes. But senators, we've been down this road before, and it has failed before. Bureaucratic delays to protect the systems and processes has consistently proven stronger than the desire to help veterans and caregivers. So senators, we ask you, if we are not all here together by the end of April or May at the very latest, then we ask you to please take action to fix this legislatively. Thousands of caregivers across this country are counting on you. We've stepped up to take on the unimaginable. We fought longer and harder than any one person is meant to fight, and we live lives without margin while fighting against the very institution and the very program meant to help us, all while navigating heartbreaking declines and loss in our own homes. So we're counting on you, and we need your help. Thank you.
Sarah, thank you for your testimony. I want to thank everybody for their testimony, and please know that I don't think there's anybody on this committee that's happy with what's happened. I remember talking to Assistant Secretary Remy while he was being confirmed, and said we've got I believe an 86% denial rate in this program. I don't think that's what Congress intended. And then when I hear the stories of assessment and reassessment, it is it's something that makes you wonder why. That's all. Just why.